Hello, fellow servants of the light. If you think as freely as I do, you may have decided to do away with this whole Doctor Who business on the grounds of
Men wearing kilts!
your commitment to not committing to Doctor Who is to be applauded. Can we have some applause, please, ladies and gentlemen? Just gentlemen, and okay. Some applause. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Alright, now stop that.
So, I guess at the moment, I'm mostly curious about how well the series adjusts to the 8 episode format. I'm wondering if there's the kind of thing we appreciate when we have a few more episodes to play with that are less helpful here. That said, if we count the Church on Ruby Road, then we've done present day opening, we've done future story for the second episode, where we learn a bit more about the main characters, and then we've done an episode set in the past. I do wonder if this new format is causing a bit of pressure to catch up. The acronym for TARDIS, or how the chameleon circuit works. I mean, that stuff can surely just be eked out. And that's not entirely a problem. There's a lot of stuff I like. I like how personalised it seems for 15's Doctor, and I like how Ncuti delivers it. Stuff like Gallifrey being kind of posh and liking titles to explain the name Doctor. It all feels very appropriate for this particular iteration.
You might want to follow the example of like-minded individuals by announcing your departure in whatever corner of the internet you happen to find yourself. That way everyone will know to expect you back within a few episodes' time, ready for some bloody good arguments. Here's a template I made. You can download it right now and just fill it in.
So it looks like this is going to be another one of those eras that rides and dies largely on the charm of the main two characters, like RTD1 or the Graham Williams era, the Tom Baker run. That's not to say there aren't positives outside of them or that the story doesn't matter, but one of the assumed pleasures of these stories is going to be how much you like watching Millie Gibson and Ncuti Gatwa. Assuming we're going to like them at least a bit is probably the safest bet anyone's ever made. That said, if you don't quite vibe with them, like some people didn't vibe with Ten and Rose, I imagine they'll get the same reaction. And that largely translates to the episodes themselves. They've got a very clear tone in mind, a very clear approach, and you're either on board with it or you aren't, I guess. I'm just trying to imagine your reaction to these episodes if your favourite era is Bidmead, or the VNAs or the EDAs. All shows, even ones managed by people who know what they're doing, do have a bit of a bedding in period. So it's very reassuring that this knows what it wants to be very early on.
All you have to do is fill in the number of years you've been watching. What era of the show from your childhood is media now failing to replicate? Did you watch the black and white episodes as a child? Perhaps you've been watching since Jon Pertwee. Have you been a dedicated fan since God's Sexual Awakening? Whatever it is, make sure you jot it down so people recognise this as the thought process of a superior fan. And then finally you put in your favourite slur. That bit's entirely optional. Who am I kidding? You'll go for it. Just one quick favour. You couldn't happen to put it in asterisks? If you're on Twitter, that is. Elon can only do so much for us.
So the Space Babies is kind of a puerile Pixar movie with something on its mind about government irresponsibility, which makes Nanny kind of ironic. The Devil's Cord actually interests me less in terms of it being a Doctor Faces all-powerful God type story, because I don't think it largely brings anything new to the table regarding that. Rather, I'm more interested in how it behaves as a historical, mainly because it doesn't give a shit about being historical. I suspect that if you really like the historicals of the Chibnall era, this is not going to be a run for you. Between this and Mavity, I think this is a type of subgenre that RTD2 is going to have very little time for. Do you know what this one reminded me of? The Idiot's Lantern, and I'm not just saying that because of all the Dutch angles. I kind of like that this decided to be a story about music rather than just wanking off to how great the Beatles were. Technically, they did get to resolve it, but it feels less about them and more about the infectious nature of music. So, that's an element that I think will definitely play, see what I did there, really well for me on a rewatch.
Please subscribe for more reason and logic.
You don't have to keep watching.
No, they have to.
They have to.